A villainous turn from Hugh Grant, Les Misérables back in its spiritual home, and striking scenes featuring the women of Afghanistan. That's all coming up in today's show. We're starting with a star who made his name thanks to British rom-coms like 4 Weddings and a Funeral, About a Boy and Notting Hill. Hugh Grant has undergone a startling transformation over the last decade, rebranding himself as a character actor in a variety of roles, from a murderer to a thief, and in his latest film, Heretic, he's doing terrible things to young people in a basement. Well, culture editor Eve Jackson went to meet him at its Paris premiere.
When we think of Hugh Grant, a raft of heartwarming romantic comedies spring to mind.
Love Actually, Notting Hill, Bridget Jones' Diary.
My favourite's Notting Hill.
His British charm.
I love Notting Hill. It's my favourite film of his, and the first one I saw him in.
Really, he's the personification of the British actor, full of charm and charisma.
4 Weddings and a Funeral and Bridget Jones.
He's just sublime. He's such a great actor and has always been handsome. He really has that on-screen charisma.
Well, that Hugh Grant has left the building. The past few years, the British actor has played narcissists, weirdos and murderers. Think Dungeons and Dragons, Paddington and The Undoing. He's called this the freak show period of his career.
In the horror film Heretic, Hugh Grant takes his dark side to new heights, playing a creepy, religiously pious man whose mission is to test the faith of 2 missionaries who come knocking on his door.
Are you interested in learning more about the Church of Jesus Christ?
Come on in.
We can't come inside unless another woman is present?
My wife is home. Does that count?
Great.
You like pie?
Yeah.
My wife has pie in the oven.
I could tell that you...
The young Mormons are played by Chloe East from The Fabelmans and Sophie Thatcher from Yellow Jackets.
To find your faith in a doctrine you actually believe.
Well, our work here is done.
I will go and check on the pie.
So sweet, silent angel.
Hello, bonsoir, Hugh Grant. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you.
Your characters seem to become darker and more twisted over time. What's the appeal of playing the villain?
I don't really know. It's what I get offered now.
Can you fit through this? You're crazy.
Actors always prefer being a baddie. There's more juice in that.
We just need to go home.
I won't keep you if you wish to leave. But I want you to choose which door to go through based on your faith.
What does this have to do with us leaving?
Everything.
How would you describe Mr. Reed?
Well, he's a very damaged man, but he appears to be reasonably likable. The way I really tried to play him was as a sort of groovy professor, like the university teacher who thinks he can make contemporary references and the kids will love him.
I think that we're being studied.
It will make your hearts beat faster. It may even make you want to die.
Horror films really seem to be having a moment. What do you think that says about the world we live in today?
I don't know. It's because they're the only things really keeping the cinema alive in America, I'm told.
I need you to reflect very, very deeply and then make a sincere decision.
Maybe people like experiencing those things together. Maybe it's no fun to be frightened by yourself. Maybe it's too frightening if you're sitting at home streaming it. And the communal experience makes it better.
So will the British star ever return to the charming characters that made his name?
No, I think he is dead. I think Mr. Reed killed him. Chopped him up.
And just before he goes, a word from Hugh Grant in French about his love of France.
Je suis grand francophile depuis... J'ai venu quand j'avais 12 ans et j'étais amoureux de Paris et de la France depuis cette époque-là. Et maintenant, j'ai une maison en Provence où je suis très content.
Hugh Grant will reprise his role as Daniel Cleaver in the next Bridget Jones next year. But for many, the evil Hugh Grant is the best Hugh Grant.
Do not be afraid. You will witness a miracle.
Well, next, it's one of musical theatre's modern classics, a box office smash on Broadway and the West End. Les Misérables is now having something of a homecoming, performed here in Paris at the Théâtre du Châtelet. Our reporters Elodie Radnak and Luke Schrago went to check out this latest version of the show.
A last warm-up for these 40 actors. They're taking to the stage after 7 weeks of rehearsals.
I'm really excited. We've been rehearsing for over a month. It's such an iconic production that we want to do the best we can.
Les Misérables, Victor Hugo's magnum opus, is back in Paris as a musical for the first time in more than 30 years.
The language had to be less overblown than the first version that took place in Paris. That's the work I've been getting on with, and that's how I've changed 20% of the text.
It's our heritage, our history. What joy, what happiness it is to bring these characters to life, who exist in our collective consciousness. We're sitting right between a musical and opera. I have an amazing opportunity to be able to recreate this world.
A French world and a French production where the audience can again meet iconic characters like Gavroche, Cosette and Jean Valjean.
The role changes all the time. Every 10 to 15 minutes it changes, and that's exciting to do. Of course, the costumes, the makeup, they all help us get into another state of era and soul. It's one of the hardest pieces I've ever done in my life.
It took 35 drawings and 300 deliberately damaged costumes to bring a realist effect to this visual recreation. The quest for justice, social inequality, sexual violence, the themes Victor Hugo dealt with in 1862 are just as pertinent today.
I'm a single mother, and that inspired me a lot in playing Fantine, because there's so much social misery, backwards thinking, a lack of education for children, beaten and tarnished women. Les Misérables will have resonance with any person in the world.
The success enjoyed by Les Misérables in its English version is undeniable, with over 15,000 performances over 39 years in London. For this troupe, the aim is bringing that popularity to a French audience.
Now to an exhibition that shines a light on Afghan women and the oppressive conditions they've been subjected to since the Taliban came to power in 2021. After restrictions on education, unaccompanied outings, the most recent rules even ban women from speaking or singing in public. NoWoman'sLand features the portraits and stories of hundreds of Afghan women. It won the prestigious Carmignac Prize for photojournalism this year. Take a look.
14-year-old Muska is about to get married. In exchange, her family will receive a well and solar panels. Her portrait belongs to a collection of photographs displayed as part of a new exhibition in the French capital. It's called NoWoman'sLand and sheds light on the daily lives of Afghan women who've gradually been erased from public life.
The whole layout of the exhibition is really built around the idea of inside versus outside, and all the portraits of women that you're about to see have been taken indoors for safety reasons, but also because women can no longer exist in public spaces and no longer have access to venues outside their own homes.
Since the return to power of the Taliban in 2021, Afghan women have seen the majority of their rights taken away in what the UN calls gender apartheid. In August, the Taliban even banned the sound of women's voices singing or reading in public. Many defied the new law by publishing videos of themselves singing on social media. These restrictions and the cautious protest movement that ensued drew international attention.
A bird may sing in Kabul, but a girl may not, and a woman may not in public. This is extraordinary. This is a suppression of the natural law.
It's this lack of freedom that the exhibition documents, using the testimonies of around 100 women and girls. Photojournalist Kiana Hayeri is the one behind the photographs. She's Iranian-Canadian, but spent 7 years of her life in Kabul.
A lot of these women, they are risking a lot to be in front of our cameras, to speak to us. And their safety has always had the highest priority for us, to make sure they're in a safe space they can speak. We protect their identities when it's needed.
The latest crackdown includes a ban on women reciting the Quran aloud, even to each other.
We systematically asked the women and girls that we met the same question. Do you have any hope that your situation can improve under the Taliban regime? The answer was always no. The only future they see for themselves is outside the country, so they're all desperately trying to leave Afghanistan.
International condemnations seem to have little effect on the Taliban's policies. Even throughout the 6 months it took for Melissa and Kiana to collect testimonies, access became increasingly restricted. They both agree that given the current circumstances, their reporting would be impossible to do again.
Well, those photographs are now on display in the open air on the Quai de Solferino in central Paris on the banks of the Seine. We're signing off with a film festival in Bordeaux, which brings African cinema to a French audience. With a focus on social and political stories, Afrique en Vision gives the floor to filmmakers from the continent and the diaspora, with the aim of shifting the narrative about African countries, their reality and their histories. The programme includes contemporary features and classics from the archive. We'll leave you with a short glimpse of some of those films. Otherwise, do check in with us next time here on Arts 24. There's more news coming up just after this.